Brace yourself. I still don't know if what I saw was real, or if my mind was breaking down from exhaustion. But either way, something was seriously wrong out there. I haven't told many people this story, mostly because it still doesn't make sense to me. But I can't get it out of my head, and honestly, I just need someone to hear it. So here goes. I was working seasonal security at a mid-sized state park in Ohio. Nothing glamorous. It was part-time work, mostly just driving the perimeter and making sure no one was loitering in the trails after dark. The park's small, but the woods that wrap around it, massive. Think several hundred acres of unmonitored land, stretching out in all directions. The kind of place where GPS glitches and phone signals die. Anyway, this happened in early March of 2022. I was a few weeks into the gig. Nothing weird had happened yet, unless you count kids getting high in parking lots or abandoned campfires. It was a Sunday. I remember that clearly. Chilly, but not freezing. I had just finished a full loop around the east side of the park when I saw something near the restrooms at Trailhead C. Just a single pair of muddy footprints in the gravel. No big deal, right? That's what I thought too, until I realized the trailhead had been closed off for maintenance since early January. We had cameras posted at every entrance, and no vehicles had been logged all weekend. I got out, walked over, and inspected the footprints. They weren't fresh, but they weren't old either. Still defined, no water damage, spaced too far apart to be from a kid. They started at the far end of the restroom, not from the lot or the road. Just one set, heading into the trees. I figured someone was squatting out there, maybe camping illegally. I made a mental note to log it later and moved on. But the weird part? The next night, the exact same footprints were there again. Same size, same depth, same direction. Like they'd been pressed again in the exact same place. That happened 3 nights in a row. I even dusted them lightly with chalk powder the 3rd time. When I came back Tuesday morning, the footprints were perfectly clean again. That's when I reported it to my supervisor. He brushed it off. Probably some hiker with a routine or an animal. But these weren't paw prints. They were boots, size 12 maybe, deep tread, too clean, too precise. On Thursday night, I got curious. I parked at the same trailhead, killed the engine, and waited. Just me, my thermos, and a flashlight. Around 3 a.m., I heard it. Not footsteps, dragging, like someone sliding something heavy through the underbrush. I jumped out of the car with my light, scanned the trees. Nothing. But the footprints were there, fresh, still wet with mud. I followed them. I knew I shouldn't, but I did. They led about 200 yards into the trees before stopping abruptly at the base of a rotting log. No trail, no person, just silence. And then I saw it. Just beyond the log, maybe 30 feet, something was crouched low behind a tree. I wouldn't have noticed it at all if it hadn't tilted its head like a dog trying to understand what it was looking at. I froze. My light caught its face for a split second, mud-covered, pale, and completely hairless. But its eyes were open, wide, almost bulging. They didn't blink. It didn't run. It just slowly sank out of view like it was melting into the dirt. I stood there for what felt like 10 minutes, heart pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. Eventually, I turned and walked back to my truck. I didn't run. Some part of me felt like if I ran, it would chase me. The next day, I reviewed the trail camera footage for the area. It was blank. No recordings between midnight and 3:30 a.m. Every other day, footage intact. That night, static. My supervisor still doesn't believe me. Said I probably imagined it or chased a raccoon. I quit 2 weeks later. Since then, I've checked the park's Reddit threads. 2 different hikers posted about shadow people in those same woods. One claimed to have seen a naked man crawling like a spider. No one responded to either post. I don't care what anyone says. Something is out there, and it knows how to avoid the cameras. I've only told this story once before, and honestly, I don't plan on telling it again after this. It still feels too recent, but I want it documented somewhere, in case something happens later. So here it is. Back in November of 2021, my wife and I inherited a cabin from her great uncle. We'd never met the guy, apparently a bit of a recluse who lived alone in northern Wisconsin. We thought it was a scam at first, but then the paperwork came in, deed, keys, everything legal. No mortgage, just taxes. The cabin was completely paid off. We drove up 2 weeks later to check it out. It's about 4 hours from Madison, near a town called Boulder Junction, the kind of place where the trees outnumber people 100 to 1. It was remote. I mean really remote. Gravel road for the last 6 miles, no other homes nearby. The cabin itself was in decent shape, just old. Built in the 60s, pine siding, 1 floor, 2 bedrooms. We figured we'd fix it up over the winter and rent it by summer. That first night, everything seemed normal, cold, but peaceful. No Wi-Fi, so we played cards and drank cheap wine by the wood stove. Then around 11:40 p.m., we heard it. A low humming sound, like a generator, but softer, rhythmic. It lasted maybe 40 seconds, then stopped. We both heard it, thought it was weird, but assumed maybe it was something outside. Old plumbing, maybe? The next night, same exact thing. 11:40 p.m., a low humming for about 40 seconds. This time, it felt like it was coming from beneath the floor. I checked the crawl space the next morning. Nothing. Just dirt, spider webs, and some rusted pipes. No wires, no machinery. It became a pattern. Every night, 11:40. Hum for 40 seconds. Like clockwork. It didn't come from the walls or ceiling. It came from beneath us. I started recording it on my phone. The hum didn't register. The mic would pick up room tone, then go dead for exactly 40 seconds, then resume. I thought maybe it was a magnetic field or an old buried cable, but that didn't make sense. So I pulled up the floorboards in the living room, just to rule out rodents or pipes. That's when I found the trapdoor. It was small, square, about 2 feet wide, no handle, just a cutout in the wood. I pried it open and nearly choked on the smell. Mildew, rust, and something chemical. There was a metal ladder leading down into a chamber, about 8 feet deep, not concrete, steel walls, painted black. I didn't tell my wife. She was already uneasy. I just told her I needed to seal up a vent and climb down alone with a flashlight. The chamber wasn't big, maybe the size of a walk-in closet. Inside was a single metal chair bolted to the floor. A series of wires leading to the back wall, most of them severed. An old cassette player, empty. 2 industrial speakers mounted high in opposite corners. But what really made my stomach drop was the pair of leather restraints bolted into the chair arms. And above the chair, barely visible in the flashlight's beam, a small microphone embedded into the ceiling. Someone had built a recording room underground, not for music, for something else. I climbed out, closed the trapdoor, and covered it with a rug. We left the next morning. But here's the part that still keeps me up at night. That evening, even though we weren't there, I checked the cabin's smart door sensor remotely. At 11:40 p.m., the front door opened. 40 seconds later, it closed. We'd locked it when we left. I double-checked. When we returned with local authorities the following week, The trapdoor had been sealed shut with fresh concrete. I couldn't even find where I'd pried it up. The sheriff told us no signs of forced entry, nothing stolen, nothing they could really do. We sold the cabin 2 months later, never went back. The humming never came back either, but I think about it constantly, especially the part I didn't tell the cops. That final night as we were packing, my wife came out of the bedroom and asked, "Hey, why were you humming earlier?" I wasn't. I worked a fire lookout tower position for 2 seasons, 2019 and 2020. I don't know if these jobs still exist much anymore, but back then it was pretty common out west during fire season. It's exactly what it sounds like. You sit in a wooden tower for hours, scanning the forest for smoke, alone. Some people say it's peaceful. It isn't until it's not. I was assigned to a station about 35 miles from McCall, Idaho. My tower was ancient, built in the 40s. No running water, no plumbing, just a hand-cranked radio, a sleeping cot, and a logbook. For 21 days straight, I had to check in 4 times a day, log weather patterns, and report any smoke sightings. Most of the time, I saw nothing. But during my second season, in August 2020, something started happening. Something that's been sitting heavy on my mind ever since. It started small, just little things. On the 5th night, I noticed a light moving between the trees a few ridges away. At first, I thought it was a campfire, but it was white, flickering like a flashlight. Problem is, that section of forest wasn't accessible by trail. It was pure wilderness, no roads, no campsites. I logged it anyway. The next night, same thing. White light, same time, around 2:30 a.m. I tried radioing the base station. No response, static. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe a drone, maybe lightning reflecting off dew. But then my food started going missing. It was slow at first. A missing protein bar, a lighter. Then a whole can of chili disappeared from the locked supply bin. I would have blamed animals, if not for the fact that my log entries were rearranged. I keep a detailed log for every hour. One night, I woke up to find 3 entries I didn't remember writing. Same handwriting, same pen, but I didn't write them. They were short, neutral, like someone was trying to copy my voice. 3 a.m. All clear. Visibility good. 3:15 a.m. No movement. 3:30 a.m. Fog rolling in. Thing is, it hadn't been foggy that night. Not even a little. The next few days, I barely slept. Every sound, pine creaks, animal movement, wind pressure, made me sit up with my flashlight in hand. Then it got worse. One morning, while doing my routine scan with the binoculars, I saw a shape in a nearby tower. Only problem, that tower had been abandoned for years. The lens caught just a glimpse, someone standing in the glass watching my tower. I stared for minutes, they didn't move, just stood perfectly still. I logged it, no one ever responded. That night, my radio turned on by itself at 3:12 a.m., and I swear to God, I heard my own voice, playing back one of my earlier reports from that week. Visibility fair, wind 3 knots east, no fire activity. Then, static. I yanked the plug, didn't sleep the rest of the night. I wanted to call it in, but the weather was rough. I'd be stuck up there for another 2 days minimum. On the final night, just after sunset, I heard it again, the voice. Only this time it wasn't through the radio. It was below the floorboards. The lookout towers built on thick beams about 20 feet off the ground. There's no ladder up unless you pull it yourself. But I heard walking underneath, deliberate steps. And the voice? It said, "Next report in 15 minutes." My voice, my exact tone, not a recording. I froze, rifle in hand. Didn't move for hours. By morning, I'd pulled the emergency flare and called for a chopper evac. They thought I was overreacting, some kind of altitude-induced stress. Maybe they were right.
But when I got home, I received a package in the mail. No return address. Inside was a small cassette tape, labeled with the tower's call number. I played it once. It was me, logging a fire report I never made. Then silence, then breathing, then, very faintly, a whisper, "Next time, stay longer."